What's going on YouTube? It's Andrew here from Dissecting Life, here with Joe.
What's going on, YouTubers? It's a rainy day, but it's a good day for a podcast.
Yes, it is. And before we get started, guys, be sure to check out the description because there's always good stuff in there, topics and great links to check out. And be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a share on whatever social media site you use. It's always important to get us known, get us some views, so that way we can keep doing what we love to do. And what we love to do is talk to you guys. And be sure to always post your ideas or your opinions in the comment section below, because we always appreciate all of what you say. All right, so that being said, let's get into it. All right, guys, so we're pretty excited about today's topic. It's definitely one of my favorite topics and definitely something I am really infatuated with and have a lot of love for, just because I've experienced so much with it, and that is nature. And Joe is looking at me right now, nodding his head, because he's like, "Yeah, man, nature, yeah." I mean, we've even discussed it in the Unconditional Love podcast how we go up to Mills Reservation.
Right.
And it's just a blast every time. And we just sit there and we love all of our surroundings.
Absolutely.
It's just a phenomenal experience. I've written countless things on nature, even just in my journal, just for fun in the morning when I wake up, and if I'm feeling something about nature, I write it. The way I look at it, Joe, is it's purity. It's the naturalistic virgin purity of the land. I mean, it's been untouched, and this is the way life should be. If we weren't here to build skyscrapers and society and everything, I mean, this is the way life would be. You see what I'm saying?
You sound a little crazy, but I'll accept it.
How do I sound a little crazy?
No, I'm messing with you.
Oh, all right. I don't like that. But you were telling me yesterday you
had a crazy experience.
Yeah. Go for it, man. Tell the viewers what happened.
So back in high school, I used to be a big runner. I did cross country for like 4 years, I guess. That's varsity quality.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big runner, and then 2 days ago, I went for a run, 6 miles, okay, whatever. And then
6 miles, no big deal. I can barely run a freaking block.
I can't even walk right now, but
I can run like a block, and then my legs are gelling.
Up and down your stairs, right? And then
yeah, that's pretty much it.
I ran 6 miles. I don't know how, because I haven't ran a mile in a couple months, but I could just get up and do it. It's one of those things you could just, it's like riding a bike. You could get on a bike and still ride it whenever. It's just a kind of natural thing that comes, is that once you run, you're able to run as far as you can. So yesterday was pretty crazy. I use this app on my phone. It's called Map My Run on my iPhone, and I track my run. And my mom took my headphones so I couldn't listen to music. That was kind of sucked. And but I went on this run, for this 8 mile run. I said I'm gonna go on an 8 mile run. Well, it turns out I couldn't do 8 miles. It was crazy. I literally ran like I slipped probably 100 times. It was really icy, and I was going full speed down one hill. And I started sliding, and I'm like, all right, I got to slow up a little bit. Luckily, I didn't trip at all. And I just got completely lost, and it started getting dark in the trees, but I didn't stop. I just kept running. And then I reached this state of mind where I couldn't even concentrate anymore. I wasn't even thinking. Like, I was ready to just,
it's as if you were meditating for a really long time, and you reach this completely thoughtless state where you're weirdly trapped inside yourself, and yet you're not the self with the perception of the mind, right? Like like you're not thinking as yourself. You're thinking as a person, like as a human being. It's just like, whoa, like
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fun because I started, as my mind started to drift, I was running down like this mountain, and I was running on foliage, and there was cars passing by. I almost got hit once, and it was just epic. And when I got to this, I got close to the 7th mile. I was like probably about, I don't know how long, probably a quarter of a mile left. And And I stopped. I just like stopped running, and I'm like, I can't run anymore. I just stopped, and then that was it. And I looked at my phone, and then it died, and I'm like, oh great. Now I don't even know where I am. How am I gonna get back home? And I was like, you know what? I knew one of the streets. It was Mountain Avenue in Caldwell, and I said, I'm just gonna follow this because I know that
you have a familiarity with
yeah,
it,
actually, the Soprano house, I ran close to that. Where the Sopranos had their house in the show. It was in that area. So I started backtracking to Mountain Ave, started walking up that, and then it was up like straight up a hill, and then I hit this phase where I was cold. I thought I was gonna get frostbite.
The disillusion kind of faded away.
Exactly. Like I felt like I started wobbling, like I was gonna pass out in the street. I was thinking about hitchhiking. My ideas were just crazy. I started eating snow, just to like get that thirst, because I was probably I was literally like 5 or 6 miles.
Hope you didn't eat the yellow snow, my man.
No, I was watching carefully, but I was walking, and I was frozen, completely frozen, sliding, not comprehending anything. And then I finally get to Bloomfield Avenue, and then I walked to Dunkin' Donuts, and I just asked for tap water, and the guy gave me tap water. And then I went back, and I was like, "Look, I don't have any money on me. I just want to know if I could get some hot chocolate." And so he went back and asked this other guy, and this guy came out, and he's like, "Where's the cup that you had with the water?" I said, "I don't have it, whatever." And then he gave it to me. He said, "First and last time." And then I explained to him how I was basically walking for about 5 miles in the freezing cold. And then he was like, "Okay, I understand. But I gotta go back and pay this guy, because that hot chocolate, I feel like after I got that warmth in my body, it was another 2 miles to my house. I knew where I was. And I feel like it really saved me, that hot chocolate, because
exactly,
that,
man. And it's that basic sincerity that we were talking about in Unconditional Love, that primordial good I think we got into. And people don't really act on it so much because we're so intertwined with society and societal paradigms, And if you went back and paid him, you're taking that first step, like we discussed in Unconditional Love, to the good,
to show that I respect Dunkin' Donuts and
not
his
even
job,
that, just to do the good, just to do the good for the sake of the good,
right?
But that's a crazy story. I mean, this guy just gave you the hot chocolate just because. She's like, you know what? Yeah, this guy looks like he's having a hard time running around.
Yeah.
But I've had some crazy experiences too with nature. I mean, in Caldwell, where you're running, right? It's like woods.
Yeah.
And it's just like beautiful scenery, right?
Especially
really West Caldwell.
That's why it's nice to run, because it's just
Yeah.
Trees
Especially
everywhere.
like in Mills, like
Houses.
how many runners do we pass when we go up to Mills?
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, they just want to be alone. And
hikers too.
hikers and
people
bikers
doing stuff they shouldn't do, but.
Yeah. But yeah, bikers. Everybody's up there.
Yeah.
And they're just relaxing, and they're just loving this beautiful scenery. Not everybody has that. People could be listening right now from California, but they can't go on a cliff and look at New York, over 165 acres of land behind them.
Yeah.
But I think the craziest experience I've ever had, I actually wrote a short story around this. It was one of the poems I had written, and the short story is called Le Vol du Papillon. It's French for Flight of the Butterfly, which kind of sounds cheesy, but it's actually set to be published in April, I believe, and I'll have a reading of that too on one of the podcasts, probably the art podcast. But I really want to read this poem that I wrote about my experience at Mills. And keep in mind, like we've said in the past, it's a 165-acre reservation, and it's all woods, and you're overlooking New York City on this beautiful cliff. So I really want to keep. So now you have the scenery in mind. So keep that in mind. I'm just gonna read it. It's called "The Tranquil Contradiction." As I gaze upon the city amidst magenta-covered skies, the contrast between chaos and nature compels me. My delight consumed by the cosmos stolen, downcasted to earth by a doomed humanity. A gilded illusion draped over fortified walls, a reflection of impure hearts, impure minds, yielding filth. The silence of the forest welcomes me with a humble gratitude. Truths of emotion swarm my consciousness. Yet my presence among the tranquil contradiction completes the triad of sentient existence.
Absolutely beautiful, man.
What do you make of it, though?
It reminds me of that time when you told me that, in this small pinch, in this,
Oh yeah,
that's what it reminds me of. And
yeah.
how you're
Explain that to.
So Andrew, when we were up at Mills, he held his hand up and he said, in this, probably about an inch between his thumb and his index finger.
I held it over the city, right? Like
Yeah,
I was like,
you
look
held
through
it-
this pinch,
yeah.
and what do you see?
Yeah, he's like, what do you see? And I'm like, well, I see the city. And he's like,
Restricted by my 2 fingers, though, right?
Yeah.
So like you saw what was in between the pinch, that little square, and you can do it though. You can continue because
So I said, well, I see the city. I like, this is before I was really into all this stuff, but
just living life.
yeah, just living life, being average, not. But he said in that little pinch, just think about,
How many people there are?
how many people there are, how much crime is going on. There's people being killed, raped, smuggled. There's people making money, people losing money. There's so much happening in that little pinch. And that when he said that to me, it just like
Puts
Boom.
everything into perspective, right?
Yeah.
You don't realize how minuscule we are. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And like how you said in the previous podcasts, we're made of stardust, and
yeah.
it makes me think really.
That being said, I'm going to put a link. I've posted it on our Facebook page, and I don't know if everybody's seen it, but I'm putting a link to a video down below. It's called The Most Astounding Fact by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and if you haven't watched it, you need to, because he puts it into perspective for you. I mean, we are all consubstantial with the cosmos. We are literally made up out of stardust. We are the universe experiencing itself through a conscious entity. You are watching the universe unfold as you, Joe, you and all of our viewers, you are the universe, and you're watching yourself unfold. And that's a crazy thought.
Hell yeah, it is.
I mean, it just blows your mind. But, and that's why nature is so beautiful. I mean, we really restrict nature to, when you think nature, you really restrict it to like forests and greenery and
Right.
all that stuff.
That's
and you
what I
don't,
wanted to
and,
go into.
and you don't think that it's way past Earth.
Yeah.
It's in outer space. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's nature on Jupiter, on Mars, on Pluto. It's the nature of the planet. I mean, there might not be any life, but it's the nature of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we haven't really stopped to think about that word, nature. I mean, there's human nature, there's this nature, there's the nature of music, the nature of the soul, all these natures, and I think it derives that purity. So what's the nature of Earth? Look at ecosystems,
Yeah.
I think the nature of Earth is Earth without society. Like when you look at nature,
Right.
or all these other things, that's the nature of Earth, planet Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's really awesome.
It is.
And then when you think about Mars, what's the nature of Mars? There's nothing really there. I mean, there might be little minuscule microorganisms
But
that we
that's the
haven't.
nature,
That's the nature of it,
Yeah.
exactly, that we haven't even discovered yet. But when we were sitting on this cliff, we do it all the time. I mean, there's this intense polarity, between the chaos of the city, as I described in the poem, and then the tranquil placidity that's behind us if we're looking at the city.
Right.
And we're surrounded by that tranquil placidity. It wraps this quilt of life and love.
You just like painted a picture in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it wraps this quilt of life and love around us and keeps us warm throughout this entire experience. And it's so beautiful. And I mean, the intense feeling that's there, it just blows your mind every time. And I mean, you can feel how the because this reservation's so old. Those trails are Native American trails that we walk on. Those were made by Native American tribes just from walking back and forth so much. The grass doesn't grow in there anymore because they walked back and forth so much, and then the white people came, slaughtered them all, and then we walk back and forth now. But you can feel the heartbeat of their people still resonating on that land, and it's
Right.
imagine just sitting in a teepee on a fire up there on this like 300-foot cliff, looking at the city in your teepee and not having to worry about money or anything. You're just worried. All you're worried about is hunting the next buffalo, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to bring up the story I told you about when I went to Colorado to the Grand Canyon, the Colorado River. When I went down there, I went on a trip with my grandmother and my cousin, and we were rafting that day. We were just exploring the Grand Canyon River.
Yeah.
And when I got down there, and we were on the raft, and it was just so peaceful, so quiet. You know, the water was freezing cold. We jumped in at one point, but I'm looking at the sides of me, and I could picture like Native American faces within the rock, within the stone, which was crazy. And I had the same experience that you're talking about, where I felt their whole culture around me. Like I felt like this is their land, but it was peaceful. It wasn't like this is our land and you're not allowed here. You're not welcome here. It was, you're welcome here. Welcome to our land. Like that's how I felt, and it was
this just like
crazy.
Tranquil, you know. There's just placid, like, I don't know. I guess it's like spirit of the land. You can kind of sense it, and you breathe it in. It's like in the air, and you just feel, wow, oh my God, it's awesome, and you feel like you're on top of the world. But I mean, there's not much city by the Grand Canyon at all, right? It's just roads.
No, you actually you take a train to get to the Grand Canyon, like a 3-hour train ride.
So the polarity really isn't manifested at the Grand Canyon. Rather, you see the Grand Canyon, you know, wow, look at this beautiful place, and you're thinking about nature and all the different life forms that are there, and organisms and different rare, you know, birds and whatever you see flying around there or scurrying on the ground. But when you leave and you finally get back to civilization, then it really hits you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's like, and it's the same thing like when you go on a hike, you're in such a different place. It's like alien, because we're used to falling asleep to the azure glow of our phones and the computer screens, just staring and being hypnotized by media that we don't even, when we get to these places, I mean, it just hits you hard.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, wow,
absolutely. Like
this is so much better than staring at a tree on my TV. Why am I not walking around and going hiking?
Right. And I experienced when I went to Italy and studied abroad about 2 years ago. I would literally walk out of my house, and I look to the left of me, and there's just rolling mountains in the distance. You know, you don't really see that here, but there you can literally walk 5 minutes out of the town and just go on a dirt road and just walk, and then there's farmland. It was beautiful, and you know, it's just sad to me that I hear these. I talk to so many people, and I'm like, well, don't you want to travel the world? And they're like, no. I'm happy with being in New Jersey. I'm happy with being
man, you got to see the world.
Town.
You got to see this beautiful place that you were you know, allowed to live on. Whatever created you, you know.
We're on this earth to explore. We're not here to sit in a box
and play Xbox and look at, you know, shoot up people on Call of Duty. Like, come on. Yeah, it's fun. Call of Duty's fun. I admit it. You know, but like, is that what I'm gonna do with my entire life?
Yeah.
No, man.
Exactly.
You gotta go explore.
Right.
You gotta go see everything that, you know. But I mean, nature is one of the most ancient muses that we have, and I think it's the purest. I mean, you really get to the derived state of Earth. I mean, we're so used to computers and society. Like I said, we don't even stop and think about.
Another thing I want to say is you got to have that unconditional love for nature, you know?
Yeah, like we talked last time, and you can have unconditional love for anything. Yeah. Anything that you find beautiful for what it is unconditional love.
Right.
Because no matter what that thing does, it doesn't really diminish in the state of what it is. So the same thing for nature, yeah. But what were you going to say about it?
No, I was going to say I had another idea like pollution, you know, like, and just how
that
people
makes me mad.
Yes. How people just dirty this earth. And, you know, if anyone's ever been to San Francisco, it's the cleanest city in America. Like, it literally is. Like, you get a fine, like $250 if you spit gum on the ground. Like, they're
intense.
Strict.
That's the way it should be.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You know, the roads are just very steep. And
I mean, that reminds me, yesterday I was coming home. I forget from where. I think I went to eat with my girlfriend, and we were in the car. And we stopped at a red light. I was turning left, and the guy in the right lane, he flicks a rubber band out of the car. And my girlfriend's like, that guy just flicked a rubber band out of the car. And I was like, what a jerk. And she's like, And she's like, that really pissed you off? Like, but well, you know, when somebody cuts you off, that didn't piss you off. I'm like, yeah. I mean, the guy who cut me off put me in a little bit of danger, but the guy who put that rubber band on the ground, you know, he actually did something negative he actually caused harm, you know?
Yeah,
he
and what did
caused
she
harm.
think? Did she look at you like you were crazy or something when you
No,
said
she
that?
was like, I never look at it like that. That's a
Yeah.
really good point.
Exactly. You know, I think people need to have that realization, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't get people sometimes. Like I understand where they're coming from. It's just this naive, realistic society. It's the media guile. It's all of these things that we are so distracted with that change the perception that we have.
Yeah.
So when they see things like that, it's just the regular. But nobody stops to think of it as taboo. And that's what we need to do. We need to stop and think about these regular, ridiculous occurrences as taboo is what we need to start doing.
Right.
But last time I talked to somebody about this poem, there's always this one line that nobody seems to, it's important. I mean, if you had a written copy, it would probably make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
You probably maybe catch on it. But a lot of people don't see it in the same way that I do. And that was the second stanza. My delight consumed by the cosmos stolen, downcasted to earth by a doomed humanity. What do you think that means? I'll say it again. My delight consumed by the cosmos stolen, downcasted to earth by a doomed humanity. What do you think that means? Or anybody out there, just post what do you think that means in the comments?
Yeah, I don't know how to even answer that. That's pretty deep for me.
Just give it a thought.
Say it one more time.
My delight consumed by the cosmos stolen, downcasted to earth by a doomed humanity. Doomed, forgive me. Give it your best shot. I mean, there's no shame in being wrong. There's no mistakes.
I think it means that, you know, when we were put on this earth, we were put through nature, and we were supposed to have that love for nature because nature gave us life. And I think that with that statement is that we get doomed in our own dogma, if you will, you know, our own repetitiveness of just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and we never see the actual light of nature. That's kind of how I look at that. I mean, for what it means to me, you're actually really close. I mean, it means something different for everybody, and that's the point, you know, of writing and art, any art. That's the point, you know. Yeah.
It's going to mean something different for everybody, but as long as you get some type of positive message across, I think that's what the aim is for any art. But what it means to me, literally, from a literal standpoint, is my delight consumed by the cosmos stolen. So, I mean, when Earth was first created, I mean, here in New Jersey, you could see all of the stars as if you were in the desert. I mean, people talk about going to the desert and seeing, looking like somebody took sand and just threw it across the sky, and like that's the sky at night. You know, that's what it looks like in the desert. And if you've been to the Grand Canyon, I would assume it's like that there.
Yeah.
And you would know, yeah. I mean, it's insane when you look up. It's like, holy Jesus. But my delight consumed by the cosmos stolen. So all of that stuff was kind of if you looked over the cliff at Mills, and if you were looking at it through a time lapse, as if let's say it was like 1000, the year 1000, and you were standing there, and you go from 1000 to 2014. You're gonna see buildings slowly erect, right, in factories, and smoke plumes slowly erecting on the horizon.
Right.
And what happens as that happens? Less and less stars, right? So literally, we took the cosmos and stole them, and we threw them down to Earth, which is the light of the city, all those twinkling lights. And that's the way I looked at, from a poetic standpoint, that's the way I looked. I was like, holy Jesus. And last time I was with Ryan up there, he was like, and I told him that, I was like, dude, did you ever, you know, really stop to think about that stanza? I kind of just asked people because I'm curious. What do you think?
That's, wow.
And he was like, holy crap, dude. I would have never realized that. It was funny. But I mean, if you or any of our viewers have any art, poetry, whatever that you want to get out there, I mean, just either post it on the comments or post it on our Facebook page, and we will for now until we get a lot of likes that that we can't handle. I mean, for a lot of people in the group, I mean, we're gonna post every single one that we like. I mean, and don't be afraid, because we're gonna like pretty much 99% of them, unless yours is about like, I don't know, something evil like Hitler, then we don't like you. But I assume that you had people who are like that don't watch this podcast, because we're for the good here. So just throw it on our Facebook wall. But on the last point I want to make about nature is I think one of the very first ones I made, and it is one of the greatest muses that we have today. So go out there, go on a hike, go sit in a forest and meditate. Just enjoy the moment. Listen to some music while you're there, or don't listen to the birds chirping. Either way, it's equally as beautiful, and you're just there amidst all of this awesome stuff that you don't think twice about sitting at home on a computer screen.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that, like Andrew said, go on a hike, maybe go on a run. I had great experiences with running, One last thing I want to say about my run is, when you're struggling in life and you doing something you don't want to do, you got to keep pushing forward. Because I realized that when I was running, is that you want to give up, but you keep telling yourself, run, and your mind's going, stop. But if you push yourself past that point, you'll achieve a lot.
All right, Joe. I mean, I really liked what you said, man. That was really insightful, and I always encourage you to, and everybody to, just say what you want in the comments. All opinions are accepted here. We're just a community of people who love life and love to live it, and that's really it. So on that note, guys, like we said, go on a hike, get out there.
Yep.
And it's been a real half hour with you all, and thanks for tuning in to Dissecting Life, and we will see you on the next episode.